yesterday I was saying kind of how it just didn't make sense, and I was kind of annoyed and frustrated with kind of the trade. It looked just like they got pennies on the dollar, and I have no idea why the Suns would trade KD for what they got out of him. And just the lack of actual draft capital made no sense. Some of the pieces just, they could have got better. So I sat on it for the night, thought about it, and today I'm here to say they got robbed. Like, that was horrible. Horrible. It was way worse than I thought it was after I had time to reflect on it. Like, that was bad. What kind of a trade was that? It's incredible for the Houston Rockets. They now, behind the Thunder, and other than that in the West, who would you put them behind? Probably nobody. I mean, they are solid now because of the pieces that they were able to keep in this trade. And they still have draft capital for the future. They still have opportunities to build for this team for the future. They didn't sell the farm to go get KD. I can't believe that this is all KD was worth. And that's what really kind of set me down this spiraling path of trying to figure out how we got to this point and how bad the trade market must have been for KD that this is the deal that they made. So after really thinking about it, there's a few things that happened, I think, for us to get here. So number one is the fact that the NBA draft is coming up here in 2 days. On Wednesday, the 25th, the NBA draft will be happening. And the Suns clearly wanted to get their draft pick in this year's draft in the KD trade. They didn't want to wait till after the draft and either go get a piece and have to negotiate with that. They wanted to have a draft pick in the deal and go out and select their own guy. And everybody knew that. Everybody knew that the Suns were up against the clock and their backs were up against the wall. And when you have that going into a meeting, everyone else will be like, oh, you got to trade? You got to make this deal? Oh, it looks like the asking price just kind of went down since you're a little bit desperate. And everyone stonewalled them in some ways. And you look at some of the reports of some of the trades that were out there, just abysmal. Which is why I think they would have been better off holding on to him. Going through this draft and being like, that's fine. Going into the season and waiting till either the trade deadline, someone got desperate, or waiting for things to happen that make them decide that they can get a better deal. Because if there had to have been a better deal opportunity down the road than this ain't it. Dylan Brooks is meh. But the 10th overall pick, a 5 or whatever second round draft picks that aren't going to do anything for you. And then you get Jalen Green, who is going to be a headache for a number of reasons, because you see all the potential, all the athleticism, and he'll have great moments and then will just disappear. But guys you left on the table that somehow you weren't able to negotiate for, I don't know how you'd come away in this deal without getting Jabari Smith. Incredible that they weren't able to get Jabari Smith out of that deal. A guy that's averaged double figures all 3 years and is a very nice piece, because now you look at what the roster looks like for Phoenix. Don't get me started on that. They have 15 shooting guards and nothing else going on, it feels like. The fact you aren't able to get Tari Eason, who showed so many sparks and looked like he was the guy that could be really valued, especially in today's NBA, aren't able to go get him. And the fact that, listen to this. So they got their own first-round pick back this year, the 10th overall. They're still in the treasure chest for the Rockets, have the 2027 first-round draft pick. That's Phoenix's pick. Weren't able to get that back. The 2028 first round draft pick, that was their own for Houston. Weren't able to get that one. The 2029 first round pick, that is Phoenix's pick. weren't able to get their own pick back. The 2030 first round pick, that would be the Rockets, weren't able to get that. The 2031 first round pick, weren't able to get that. They still had 5 other first round picks. 2 of them were Phoenix's, and you weren't able to get those back. Just, what are we doing? What are we doing? You traded KD for pennies on the dollar and you didn't get pieces to win now. You didn't get assets that can really build towards the future unless you really are a diehard Green fan and you're on a lonely island if that's you. And you didn't get the draft capital to say, hey, like, we're punting the next couple of years. We're going to be better in the future. You got a whole lot of nothing. You got a bad contract in Dylan Brooks. It's going to eat up some time. You got 1 pick, and it's the 10th overall. It's not even like a top 5 pick. That's what you gave up KD for? Off. Granted, again, I understand the market wasn't what you would want, but you need to wait until the market is what you want and not put this timetable where everyone knows that you're going to have to act, because the moment that happens, this happens. You get bent over a barrel. You get completely taken advantage of because everyone knows you've got to make a deal. And so I ain't going to do you no favors. I'm going to make sure that I get the best deal for me out of this situation. And just a master's class by the Rockets on how to take advantage of a desperate franchise right now. And the poor get poor in this situation because this is awful for Phoenix. And again, I started looking at kind of across the landscape and was like, surely things have got to be better. Some of the proposed trades that were out there were so much better than this, whether or not those were kind of in full, coming to fruition. But some of the trades that the Raptors supposedly were kind of interested in, the Knicks, you look at some of the trades the Timberwolves had thrown out there, the Spurs even. We always talked about the Spurs and some of the pieces that they had, and we're like, oh, they're going to want to keep some of their young guys. They're not probably going to be able to get Castle. Maybe you could sell some of these guys. That would have been all better than this. If this is all it took, everybody should have been trying to come in line, because if this is what it took to get KD, there should have been 29 teams looking to make a trade, because this was nothing. And yet, apparently that's what the market was going into this draft, because then you look at the details that come out about what Miami was willing to trade, or rather what they were not willing to trade, which was crazy to me. All right, so supposedly, according to multiple reports, Miami was not willing to part ways with Jaime Jaquez. He was really good his rookie year. I think he kind of fell a little bit off the wayside here this last year. He was a really good college player at UCLA, but like, he's kind of one of those guys that I feel like only really works in Miami or in San Antonio, like really fundamental, nothing flashy, and like low ceiling, average floor, but he can play really well in a system and with like a team. Don't know what that really pushes too much for the Suns, but he's a decent piece. He could have been a rotational player. Nikola Jovic. Okay. We're not talking Nikola Jokic. Okay, that's not who we're talking about here. We're just talking about a guy that averaged 10 points a game on an average team that was, meh. I mean, nothing crazy at all. 8 points, 8.5 for his career. Less than 4 rebounds for his career on like 55% shooting for a center. That guy's untradeable for KD. You're not going to give up that guy, the 27th pick in the draft a few years back. He's 22. Like that guy's not available in this trade. What are we talking about here? This is Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, and you're taking Nikola Jovic off the table? What are we doing? It gets worse. Hayward Highsmith, untradeable in this. I had never heard of this guy before.
I had to look up a lot of info about him, and I was like, who are we even talking about? And I'm not sure this man exists. I'm just going to say it like that. He went to a school called Wheeling University. I've never heard of it in my life. Couldn't tell you where it is. Couldn't tell you what division it is. It sounds made up. He might as well be going to Hogwarts as far as I'm concerned. That guy, who's been in the league for 5 years and has a career average of 5 points, that guy is untradeable when it comes to KD. He is off the market. Did you hear that? Does anybody know who that guy is or what he's done? I get just outrageous that this guy is off the table. Like how bad do people think KD is that is just like, why are you doing that? Like, well, I got to keep on to that guy. I mean, Kevin Durant is a 15-time All-Star. He averaged 26, 6, and 4 this year on 52% shooting. The guy's incredible still. He's going to light it up. But he's not worth that guy. And they also weren't willing to trade their first-round draft pick in this year's draft. Oh, that's the 20th pick of the draft. A mid to late first-round draft pick. Not doing it. Not parting ways with that. Not for KD. What are we doing? What are we doing? Like, what were they going to give him? Like, what was their proposed or thought trade, like their thought process of like what trade were they going to be able to make here? Wiggins was going to be thrown in and make the contract, and then what? A bag of chips, a free T-shirt. Like, what deal do they think should have happened in that case? How bad do they think KD is that's the deal that they're willing to make? Why was there no market for KD? It's unreal. And I think a majority of it is people knew that they needed to trade him, that they were on the trading block, and it was just going to happen. But regardless of that, if you do not negotiate to take a line from Peaky Blinders, you don't negotiate from a point of weakness or a position of weakness. You got to even the playing field first, and then you go in negotiations. You don't just start talking with a guy trying to make a deal when he knows that you're desperate and you got to make it happen, or else this happens. And boy, I get the market wasn't great, but they should have held on to KD until it got better than this, because this was terrible. The market was terrible. The deal they made was terrible. And it was a total act of desperation, saying that the NBA draft was coming up and that they needed to make a deal before it happened. But just, you can't make a deal when everybody knows they can take advantage of you, and those are the best offers that you're going to get. They could have held on to KD. There's nothing against that. He was under contract. Like, you're going to be limited in what you're able to do. But they could have held on to KD. Instead, you got Green. Okay. Didn't get Jabari Smith. Didn't get Tari Eason. So that's your young piece that you're supposed to be excited about. And now you're looking to try and flip him. We'll see how that works out. And you weren't able to get Fred VanVleet when you're still kind of looking for a point guard in this situation. The Tyus Jones experiment did not work out nearly as well as they would like. And instead, you get Dylan Brooks. Guy that hustles around a lot of energy, a lot of flailing. Plays a little defense, but that's what you got. That's what you have to look forward to. I think it's a byproduct of the market and the fact that everybody knew they wanted to make this trade before the draft. And so they knew where they were drafting and kind of start building their board off of that. And they could pick their own guy rather than make a deal with a team that had already used their draft picks. It's a terrible way of doing business. And this franchise continues to toil in the mud because of it. And that's where we are, it feels like. I just hate it. I hate it all around. I hate that they made this deal. Feeling forced to make it is what it looks like. The pieces they got. I mean, they traded Kevin Durant for a guy that they're immediately now wanting to trade somewhere else to get draft capital. That's less desirable from teams. Where you would think, despite what the market looked like for KD, you would think that he's got a better market than Green. Not good.